put a raised panel bit in for door panel. So, move this out of the way. I need to move this whole fence out of the way. I'm going to take that bit off of there. Now, I think we might have to yeah. Now this bit won't fit down in here, so we also have to remove this insert that's screwed down in here. Before we removed all the removable inserts to fit the other bits in, but now we have to take that one out. Who did that to the screwdriver? That one don't fit in there. So we gotta take this insert out. One's still on there. That one's stuck. There we go. Okay, now we're going to put on a raised panel bit, and as you can see, it's too big for the shaft, so we have to use these little bushings here to. We don't want to use the this big one. That's too big. We'll just smaller ones, two smaller ones. What do I do with the other one in the city here? I brought it out. I didn't. Oh, here it is. So let's do shorter ones. Put one on either side. Now I always put these in so that my wood is covering the bit when I'm cutting it. Now, I wouldn't put it in that way because you have to have the wood under it cutting it and a bit on top. I think it's safer to put it this way with it under the wood. Yeah, and if it doesn't quite cut through, you could always, you know, push it down. This way, if the wood's under, if the wood lifts up a little bit, your piece is ruined. So always, huh?
You always put that one sleeve on there when you do that?
This?
Yeah.
Not always, but depends.
Yeah.
Depends on where you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost right. It's almost where it needs to be. So I put that on there upside down, and then maybe I might add another one of those. That's a lot of space. Space to screw the nut down. Remember the keyed washer at the end.
Why do you put so many spacers on there?
So I don't have to bring the nut all the way down there.
Okay.
And here is not any
I
threads.
see. I'll just,
You got to fill that in so
I got
you have threads. And I use as many of those as I can.
you. Yeah, I understand.
They don't hurt anything. Now I believe that this is probably cutting in the wrong direction because the blade's edges are facing this way. So I'm going to switch direction. Watch this on this little knob right here. And before I start it, on any of these big wing cutters, we need to go on a slower speed. That means we got to shift the belt down off the top two pulleys to the lower pulleys. So while we're under here, I'm going to bring this down and put it kind of tight in between here. I think the original belt for this was a little, not quite as fat. This one's a little hard to get on. Okay, so we're going to put our little shims back in here and keep it tight. Now I already switched the direction. Alright, stand back. I'm just going to check and make sure this is going in the right direction. Yeah. It is.
You gonna use the guard thing, or you just show us this for now?
No.
Radius?
No, I'm not doing radius today. I do believe I'm going to need to move this. Well, maybe that's about right, where I have this fence. I think the fence will probably stay in that position. But these wings are going to need to be,
Split out.
yeah. Can loosen these up, and if that's not going to be enough, I have to put it in a different slot. So these things I'll be taking off. Two bolts here. Two bolts for the washer. So on the back of this is what they screw into. So let's check where this fence is hitting the blade at. Yeah, that's close to where the cutter ends. All right. For all right, let's see that there now. Let me see about how far this is cutting into this. You might need to do this is a lot of cut to take. You might need to do this in a couple passes. So I'm going to lower this some. And I'm going to try that. See what happens. turning in the opposite direction it was last time. So I'm going that way with it. Yeah, that's so good. You want this to be 1/8 lower than your wood. Alright. I'm going to try this and see how it works.
Joking, John.
So, there you go. This is going to have to be a little deeper because usually the groove for your door is 1/4 inch or so. And, so I'll adjust that down until it's the right depth later and get in here.
When you do that, will you make it tight in that groove, or do you leave a little slop?
Well, I gotta leave a little bit of a slop because I
Yeah,
want
there.
to be able to, a solid panel wants to be able to move in there.
Okay.
If you make it too tight, you
Yeah.
have problems. You don't want it too loose, so it's rattling around, but
I got you.
you want it, wants a good slide in and out easy. Now the other point of this is doing. A lot of times these panels can get narrow, and you might need to use this with them. This one is borderline. When it's too narrow, they tend to want to suck into that opening there. The blade wants to pull them in. I'm going to try doing this one like this, but I'm going to hold it real tight against the fence as I'm doing it. And see if that works all right.
Remember, go blow
If
my
it doesn't-
face down.
What?
Tucker, Tom.
I know, I want to see.
That's what I did, that I held it real firmly against this fence so it won't tip in on me. Because it'll do that, it'll suck right in there.
Okay.
And if I have anything skinnier than this, I'd probably put it in the crosscut jig on here. But before we would use the crosscut jig, you gotta make sure, because I know the fence isn't parallel to the fence is no longer, since we move things around, is no longer parallel to this roof. So if you have to use the crosscut jig, you gotta measure here and make sure these are equal.
Okay.
And so do any more with this?
You just did 2 of those. Why wouldn't that fence be okay where it is?
I moved it. I took it off to put that bin on.
I know, you just did 2 sides. Why would
Yeah, I'm running on the fence, but if I use the crosscut jig, this is not square to the fence now.
you-
If I was holding that board in here,
Yeah.
it's hitting here and it's not
yeah,
hitting here.
I see.
So it's, when I'm holding it there, it's not even with the
Gotcha.
blade yet. But if I'm just going
Yeah,
on the fence, it doesn't matter, if it's parallel to the
yeah, I
to
got
this. It's only when you're using this that has to be parallel. The miter gauge, whatever. Any questions?
It's a lot.
Huh?
There's a million questions, but not anything. I think it's just using it is gonna be.
Yeah, get used to it. Just remember to change the speed on the big bits
you.
and watch what direction And I always put these so you're cutting from the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's so easy for the wood to lift up a little bit and it messes you up. This way you never have any problems.
That's good, thank you.
All right.
Good.
Done.
Back to work.